My wife refused to spend her birthday with me and went out to have dinner with her coworker, but she thought I was bluffing when I told her I would file for divorce. 14 years. That's how long we'd been together. 12 of those years we were married. It's crazy, you know, how time can either feel like a flash or an eternity depending on the moments you choose to dwell on. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but whose is? I never expected perfection, just loyalty and commitment. Through all the ups and downs, the arguments, and the moments of doubt, I always believed we'd make it, but apparently, I was wrong. It all started to unravel in September of 2022. I remember the day clearly. I was driving to a job. Being an HVAC tech isn't glamorous, but it paid the bills when a garbage truck ran a red light. It all happened so fast. The screeching tires, the horrifying crunch of metal, and then, nothing. When I woke up, I was lucky to be alive, but the real damage didn't appear until later. The back pain started subtly at first, like a lingering bruise, but soon, it was debilitating. Every movement felt like shards of glass digging into my spine. It got to the point where I couldn't work, and that's when everything began to change between us. I tried to go back to work 3 months later, desperate to regain some sense of normalcy, but my body had other plans. The pain was unbearable, and my doctor put me back on leave, starting a frustrating and seemingly endless journey to find a treatment plan that worked. I couldn't help but notice how distant she was becoming during this time. She didn't offer any real support, but I chalked it up to her stress, thinking she was just overwhelmed by everything. Then, in May 2023, things took a turn for the worse. My appendix ruptured out of nowhere. I woke her up in the middle of the night, writhing in pain, asking her to take me to the hospital. She gave me this look, annoyed, like I was inconveniencing her. She took her time, doing her hair, putting on makeup, as if we were going to a damn dinner party. I couldn't believe it. By the time we left, I was driving myself to the hospital, clutching my side in agony, while she sat there, scrolling through her phone. The surgery was rough, and they wanted to keep me overnight for observation because they found an infection. I asked her to stay with me or at least take a few days off to help when I got home. She refused both. Again, I didn't push it, thinking she was under a lot of pressure. Maybe I should have seen the signs sooner. A month later, in June, she made a joke, something about how I should start paying her back rent. I laughed it off, made a dumb comment about her leaving, and that's when she snapped. She told me she felt trapped, that she was stressed out because I couldn't work, and that she didn't sign up for this. It stung, but I got it. I was hurting, and I knew she was too, so I tried to be understanding. But what happened next? It broke me. She told me she was going to spend the night with a friend from work to talk things over and clear her head. I figured it might help, so I didn't argue. But then she dropped another bombshell. She wasn't going to spend her birthday with me. She said she had plans to go out for dinner with a girl from work. Something felt off, though, a gut feeling, and sure enough, the next day, I found out the friend was actually a guy. I confronted her, and she brushed it off like it was nothing. We fought, said things we both regret, and I left to stay with my mom for a while. After a few days apart, I decided to give our marriage another chance. 14 years wasn't something you just walk away from, right? We agreed to work on us for 6 months before making any decisions, but barely 4 weeks in, I found out she had been looking for apartments the whole time. When I confronted her, she had the nerve to say that moving out might save us. I couldn't believe it. I asked her how a year-long lease could possibly save our marriage and how I was supposed to pay bills when I wasn't working. Her response? Cold, distant. She didn't care anymore. I was desperate. I'll admit that. So, one day while she was at work, I went through her Apple Watch. I don't regret it. I found exactly what I feared. Messages to another guy. Someone she'd been talking to for months. The texts were explicit, talking about how much she wanted him, where they could hook up. When I confronted her, she tried to play it off as a joke, but when I pressed harder, she admitted it. Her exact words, "Because you're not giving me any. I have to get it from somewhere." It crushed me. 4 months, she had been turning me down, making me feel like the problem, when all along she was cheating. By August, she had moved out. 2 weeks later, I told her I was filing for divorce. She laughed, thought I was bluffing, but I wasn't. The divorce was finalized in December, quicker than I expected. Given we had no kids, it was strange how easily 14 years could be erased with just a few signatures. After she moved out, there were still moments of absurdity. In October, she totaled her car in an accident and had the nerve to ask me if she could borrow mine. When I refused, She demanded I drive her to work. I told her no, citing my physical therapy and doctor appointments. Her response? That's not my problem. That's when I snapped and told her she wasn't my problem anymore, either. I haven't seen or spoken to her since the day of the divorce. Now, for anyone wondering how I'm doing, life isn't perfect, but I'm getting there. The back pain is still an issue, but I recently had a procedure that numbed the nerves in my lower back, so there's some hope I can get back to work soon. Surprisingly, I'm in a new relationship. After the new year, I decided to dip my toes into the dating pool again. It was awkward at first, but it's nice to feel appreciated, to feel seen. Looking back, I realize I was holding on to something that had been slipping away for a long time. And to anyone out there in a similar situation, let me tell you this: don't be afraid to let go. You deserve better than being someone's second choice or their fallback. It's never too late to reclaim your life.